So for this dish, I'm going to be grilling the spot prawns, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to do them. First, obviously you want to pick the live prawns, and what I like to do is, before I grill them, I always clean the pointy spear and the whiskers off by trimming them with a pair of scissors. This way they look cleaner, and also you don't stab yourself when you're handling them. So all you got to do is just trim them off. It'll make your life a lot easier if you size them all in their same size and skewer them. That way when you're grilling, you only have to flip them once. So they grill evenly and you don't have to pick them one by one. So what I'm gonna do is, I had a few kind of trimmed already. We're gonna try to size them all together so they all cook at the same rate. So these are the medium size. We're gonna try to get as best as we can to get the same size. So this guy's a bit bigger. And I prefer to use these metal skewers. You can find these in any kind of specialty gourmet stores. Bamboo skewers are just fine, but remember to soak them. So pierce through the head, careful with your hands. And then the second part, I like to always line the tails up too, so they grill evenly. And just pierce through there. That way when you're grilling, you just have to flip them all at once. Very easy. And that's it. And now we gotta wait until our grill is hot enough and we'll grill them. So for grilling the prawns, I always like to use charcoal. I have my charcoal grill here going, and you should have to grill really, really hot. Probably 450 to 500 degrees at least. You want the grill nice and hot, charcoal nice and red, and then all it takes is about 30 seconds to 45 seconds per side if the grill's hot. So we'll start with these prawns. They look like they're ready to be flipped. Perfect. You see how easy that was with the two skewers, so you don't have to go and flip them one by one. And that's it. So now the prawns are cooked, we're going to cut them open and get them ready for the salad. Here I have the grilled prawns, but if you don't feel comfortable grilling prawns, you could also boil them. So these are prawns that I boiled, and for boiling prawns, all you got to do is bring water to a high rolling boil and then dump the prawns in about 45 seconds to a minute maximum, depending on the size of the prawns. To cut the prawns open, we're going to take the skewers. Make sure the skewers are not piping hot from the grill still. I'm going to slide them off. To serve it into the salad, all we're going to do is cut it in half down the middle. If you did it right, the meat should be still translucent and firm. We're gonna keep these aside for the salad. I'm gonna cut a couple more. This is how they serve King River prawns in Thailand, and that way you have easy access to the tamale as well. Okay, so now that we're ready to make the salad, I'm gonna first go over the grocery list here. You can buy everything that you see on the recipe here, either in TNT, or you can, my preferred place is to go to Maenam Supermarket on Kingsway. They do the importing for us as well. So these are the baby Thai lemongrass that we bring in for ourselves. You might be able to find some in Maenam, but in TNT you'll find a larger lemongrass, which is a little bit tougher, which is still fine. This is long coriander, also known as sawtooth coriander, given the saw-like blade leaves. This is just mint that's been picked off the stem. This is cilantro or coriander that's been picked off. And over here we have the ingredients for the dressing. These are the stems I saved from the cilantro. When in season, pretty much in the next month or so, we'll start getting local cilantro that'll have the root on, and I would prefer to use the root when we can use when we get the roots on. However, in BC, all the cilantro comes from California and Mexico during off seasons, and they cut the root off. We have some bird's eye chilies, both green and red. We have some garlic over here, and for the dressing, we also need some fresh galangal. All of this will go into our salad, and you can find the ingredients, as I mentioned before, on TNT or Maenam Supermarket. So let's get started. For the lemongrass here, these are young lemongrass. They're still very, very fibrous and tough. So you want to make sure you cut the ends off a little bit to expose the purple rings. That's nice and tender. That's very, very fragrant. You want to peel, depending on your lemongrass, this is very tender, you can see that. So I'm still going to peel one leaf away. For some of the tougher, darker green ones that you'll get at TNT, you'll need to peel several layers. And what you want to do with the technique is, a lot of people teach you to curl your fingers when you're slicing, but there's a lot of wobble room in the knife, so you want to actually have your fingers right up against the blade, and then you're slicing, and you're never lifting the knife up, so you're not going to be slicing your finger. So it goes something like this. Take the lemongrass, hold it real close, and with a real nice sharp knife, I'm just shaving the lemongrass, thin as you can. The idea is you want the nice fragrance of the lemongrass without the fibers. You want to cut to about where the lemongrass starts to be just pale white or green, where the purple rings start to kind of disappear. That's where the best part of the lemongrass is, and that's what we want to keep for the salad. You want to do this process as closer to serving the dish as possible, because the lemongrass does go yellow and brown if you do it too early. So you want to have really nice paper thin shavings of the lemongrass. Next, we're going to cut the patchy farang, also known as the sawtooth coriander. So this will cut about this much. I'm going to cut off a little bit of the bottom here. And we're just going to cut fine-ish, not as fine as the lemongrass, but fine. We're gonna put all that aside and we're gonna start making the dressing. Now let's make the dressing together. So with all the ingredients here, I like to use a traditional mortar and pestle. This, you may notice, is not a traditional Thai mortar and pestle. It's actually a Mexican one used to make guacamole. I keep it around because it's a little pig. It was given to me, and our son Aiden's born in the year of the pig, so we do keep a lot of the little piggy things around. So this is nice. You could find a nice stone mortar and pestle in Chinatown. I would recommend a stone versus a marble one, just because you need a little bit of that abrasiveness from the stone. So first, we're not going to pound this whole thing into a paste. So this is galangal. We're just going to slice out the tough outer layer, and we're going to do a few thin slices. Keep that aside. For the dressing, we're going to pound all the solids first. We're going to cut the cilantro stems as well. This just helps the breaking down process in the mortar and pestle to be a little bit easier. We're going to do 2 green, 3 red chilies. Don't ask me why, that's just how I feel like right now. And we're going to do 2 garlic cloves. And we're going to pound all this into a paste first into our mortar and pestle. Okay, so with our mortar and pestle, we're going to start pounding. I always like to start with the hardest things first. So we're going to do the galangal, the garlic, and the chilies. And what I like to do is I like to add a large pinch of coarse salt. The salt acts as a little sandpaper that breaks things down. Now, when you're pounding, don't put your face right up to it because the chilies will spray in your eye. So what I like to do is I like to cover it halfway with my hand to protect myself. And the motion isn't pounding, it isn't grinding, it's a combination. So I'm striking on one side and kind of grinding down at the same time. You can see very quickly it becomes a rough paste. Like that. We're going to add the cilantro stems. Once it gets quite wet, you can actually start grinding it a little bit. Once it gets to a certain stage, about here, I like to add sugar. I just realized we don't have granulated sugar at home, but I do have sugar cubes I use for cocktails, so brown sugar cubes will do. Be creative. Now you want to pound the sugar into the paste, and as the sugar dissolves, it helps break down the paste further. At this point, you want to be careful because it's quite wet. By pounding it too much, it'll splash up and you could get it in your eye as well. As you can see here, it's starting to get quite loose. Now we're going to add a little bit of our chili jam. But this chili jam nam jim is a typical dressing that gets served with grilled prawns, so that's why I chose this for the salad. See a nice smooth paste like that. Now we season with the wet stuff. Lime, fresh lime juice. So we only use fresh lime juice, never the plastic bottle stuff, because the flavor oxidizes so quickly in citrus. So I am just going to squeeze the lime right in. Now I'm going to use my pesto here as a spoon or a whisk and just emulsify it. You're looking at about an equal part of lime and fish sauce. The ideal is you want to taste it as you're going to. You want this dressing to be a combination of, you know, hot, sour, sweet, salty, all of that goodness that we love about Thai food in here. It does take a lot of lime juice and fish sauce, and you don't want a thick dressing, so you want to keep adding. I think that's pretty good for lime juice. I'm gonna add the fish sauce. So this is the consistency of the dressing that you're looking for, and color as well. When you smell it, it should smell intense and fresh, and when you taste it, it should taste balanced with the hot, sour, sweet, salty, all of the flavors that we had talked about. It's a good idea to make this and let it sit for a few minutes to let all the flavors marinate a little bit, let them get to know each other. Now that we've done that, we're going to plate. So I have the grilled spot prawns that we did earlier in here. Basically, we're gonna add the mint, the picked mint, picked coriander leaves, the sliced sawtooth coriander, the finely sliced lemongrass. These are some homemade fried shallots. You could also make them, or you can buy them packaged as well. In our cookbook, Maenam, it does show you how to make these fried shallots. They are really beautiful when you fry them fresh. So give them a little light toss in there with the prawns. And then you can serve with the dressing. So now we're plating them onto the plate. You can see the beautiful textures of the fried shallots, lemongrass, prawns. And I like to finish on top with a little bit more fried shallots. And that's it. Well, thanks for following along the recipe. This is the grilled spot prawn salad. It's very, very easy to make. It's one of our favorite things to make when spot prawns are in season. And I look forward to joining you guys for the quick live Q&A. Thank you.